Welcome to The Secrets of Success. By following the proven techniques of the guests who appear on this series, you'll learn that even successful people run into detours and failures, and how you can apply their success techniques to change your life.
You're now listening to the most unique show on radio, the show dedicated to making you a success. Do you manage time, or does it manage you? Let's find out from our guest, Jim Skeffen, author of Aligned Thinking. Jim, thanks for being with us today.
Great to be here, Bill.
Jim, why is time management such a problem? It would seem like something we should all be able to do, but it seems to be such a big problem for us.
That's a very good question. Let me tell you why it's brilliant. It's brilliant because it goes right to the heart of everything. If we can't manage our time, what can we manage? In my business, I did a program called Maximizing Manager Effectiveness. And after we worked at that for a very short time, we became aware that the really successful managers have some process to manage their time. And if I could go back to a quick story, the first program I ever did 45 years ago, a very brilliant PhD came up after my first program and said, Jim, if you want a really good time management program, now Bill, the good thing he didn't say is, Jim, you have a stinky time management program. But it was just a traditional, plain old time management program that you could get in any place. He says, but if you want a really good one, you need to answer these two questions. So here's the two questions, and I would challenge you, or challenge our audience to see how they would answer them. So here's the two questions. What do we really control, and how to get the most out of it? Bill, you want to take a shot at it, or you want me to tell you what I came up with?
Well, you're the expert, so you come out with it.
Okay. So what do we really control? Everybody can answer that. The only thing we really control, the past is gone, the future's not here yet. The only thing we really control is right now. That's it. Now, we can plan the future, we can build on the past, but we can only control the now. So I had the answer to his first question by sunset that day. But the answer to his second question, how do we get the most from it, took me years. And I did have the benefit, the blessing of working with 160 Fortune 500 companies. And over time, I clearly defined that how to get the most out of the it is the now. You really got to do three things. And it comes down to the three habits outstanding people use to manage their time. So here's the three habits they use. They have a clear written idea of what they really want. That's habit number one. Now that's very simple. But you know, the vast majority, 90% of the people, never wrote down what they really want. So it's clear to them. The second thing is even fewer people do it, but the outstanding people do, is every day they review what they really want and set their priorities for the day to come, build on what they really want. Now, what they really want could be what their wife wants, what their spouse wants, what their kids want, what their company wants, what their boss wants. What they really want can have a multitude of things, but in the last analysis, what they really want. And then the third thing, and the biggest key, the thing I call the 5-second men's secret, they figure out how to make every decision during the entire day related to what they really want.
So tie in every decision you make all day long.
Every decision you make. Now, that's a broad thing. You know, it could be Sunday afternoon, and the thing you really want is a nap. But the nap, when you take that nap, you don't want to be thinking about business. You don't want to be on the telephone. You want to be totally free to take a nap, because that nap helps you prepare for getting a much better job for the following week. And so that nap is critical. Or you want to go play tennis, or you want to take a vacation. So all of that folds in to what they really want. Now, take for example me. One of the questions I asked myself this morning is, how can I value and appreciate my spouse more today? That's something I really want. So it fits in to what I'm doing today. So.
Now, Jim, let me ask you, over time, so many things have changed. You know, if you're a baseball fan, you see how they're doing all the metrics, etc. Has the reasons that we're not good at time management, has that changed, or is this one of those things like The Rock, it's not going to change?
I don't think it changed very much because, for better or for worse, I just celebrated my 67th, and I just celebrated my being 21 for the 67th time. So I'm kind of an old buck. And, going back 45 years ago when I did my first program, people have a wide variety of reasons why they can't manage their time. I can't do it because of my wife. I can't do it because of my husband. I can't do it because I get all these interruptions. In fact, I have a list here of reasons why I can't. I don't have enough personal time. I get too little personal time. I have too much stress, etc. But it all comes down to those three very critical things. Number one, they don't nail what they really want in writing. So now people say, Jim, I know what I really want, but it's not in writing. Well, the question is, when you know what you really want today and you know what you really want tomorrow, and those two things can be very clear today and tomorrow, but they could be different. That's why we say it's clear what you really want in writing. The second thing is you review it every day so your priorities relate to that. And then you're constantly trying to make every decision consistent with that. So I would say that, at least for the last 45 years when I've been operating in this business, it hasn't changed very much, Bill.
Now, Jim, is there a ballpark score? We know that a great pitcher usually wins 20 games. And if a pitcher is having a terrific game, he'll have 9 strikeouts or more. So to talk like that about time management, if we get 90% of the things done in a day, is that a good day? Are we good time managers? Or is it maybe that we're doing the small things, like we're sharpening pencils and we're taking the dog out, but in the meantime, the taxes haven't been paid?
Bill, that's another brilliant question. Let me tell you why. So that all has to do with what you want to get done that day. And that brings up a real pet peeve of mine. People have to-do lists. To-do list is much better than no list, but a to-do list can cause you fantastic difficulties. And here's the reason why. The ordinary person can think up more to do in an ordinary day than they can possibly do. And if they try to get their to-do list done, they're really playing an impossible game. They want to think it up, they want to put on a to-do list, and they want to take it off. There is a very simple 2-step way to overcome that and to answer your question. So, and some people tell me that this next suggestion is worth the price of the entire program. Now, my program, the last program I did was a 10-session program over the internet. It cost $2,500. And people say, this suggestion is worth more than that. Here's the suggestion. You take the to-do list and you call it a holding pen. That's a holding pen. And then you do what I suggested a minute ago. You review today the things you really want. That's 30 seconds. Then you write the priorities that you can reasonably accomplish today. The priorities, let me repeat that. The priorities that you can reasonably accomplish today. If you put down all the things that you want to do, you're playing a game. And the game is either you bite the bullet in the morning and put down what you think you can do, or you shoot yourself with the foot at the end of the day by not accomplishing all you want. So you write down the things that you can reasonably accomplish in the day, and then you proceed. As the day unwinds, if you get something unexpected, you put it on your priority list if it needs to be done today, and you take something else off. So the answer to your question is, if a person is using not a to-do list, but if a person is using a holding pen and a priority list, they should get 80 or 90% of what they've done in an ordinary day. And let me give you another example, Bill. I got time for another example?
Oh, hearing from you, you're going to make me rich, so keep going.
Okay. There's two people. The one we call Mr. Tudliff. Tudliff is short for to-do list frustration. And then Mrs. Satisfied. Mr. Tudliff looks at his to-do list, and he's on his way to the car after the end of the day. During the day, he accomplished 3 things. But during the day also, he added 4 things to the to-do list. And so when he looks at his to-do list that had 30 things at the beginning of the day, he accomplished 3 things. He got 3 finished, but he added 4. So at the end of the day, as he walked to his car, he says, my to-do list is longer at the end of the day than at the beginning, and I skip lunch and work late. Now, let's go over to Mr. Satisfied. Mr. Satisfied has got enough brains to do what I suggested, and that's what At the beginning of the day, he reviews what he really wants, 30 seconds, and then he's got 4.5 minutes left, and he writes the priorities of the end at the beginning of the day. And in those priorities, it just happens that the things he wanted to do were exactly what Mr. Tudliff wanted to do, but he puts them on his priority list. And then as the day unwinds, he gets 4 more things that he wants to do maybe sometimes, and he puts them on his holding pen, not on his priority list. And so at the end of the day, he's walking to the car, and what's he saying? He looks at his priority list, and he said, this morning I set 3, I got 3, wow, 100% again. Now, they both got the same stuff done, but one of them is frustrated to death, and the other one's feeling very good. Now, who's going to be in better shape to go to work tomorrow?
I'm with you. Jim, at this point in the show, we just want to let our audience know, if you're just tuning in, you're listening to The Secrets of Success on the voice of Nassau Community College, 90.3 WHPC. I'm Bill Horan, and today our guest is Jim Skeffen. He is the author of Aligned Thinking. And Jim, can you tell us where we can get the book and the website?
You can get the book at Amazon, Aligned Thinking, but I'd also like to tell you about my latest book. It's The Secret of Growing True Love that Lasts. And one of the things I noticed in your thing is you're looking for people, success secrets. Well, this is a success secret to avoid the virus of divorce. So the name of the book is True Love, The Secret of Growing True Love That Lasts, and you can get it on our website, www.truelovethatlast.us. So
and we thank you, and I'm sure between having true love and getting our time straight and managed, we're going to be in good shape.
Very successful.
We hear from people, oh, I never get anything done. Oh, I'm so busy. Is that a sure sign that they're bad time managers? Or is that just one of those comments that people, almost like how you doing, how's things, etc.?
Anybody that says, I never get anything done is either very, very lazy or lying to themselves. What they might be saying is, I never get all done that I'd like to do. And that you can flip back to what I suggested a minute ago. Everybody has the ability to think up more to do than they can possibly do. And if you try to do it, you can cause yourself immense difficulty. And one of the things that you seemed interested in is stress. If, in fact, you try to get everything done that you want to do, then you're going to stress yourself out, because everybody can think up more to do in an ordinary day than they can possibly do. And the way to overcome that is taking some of the suggestions that I already made.
Now, Jim, you mentioned that you have 3 cool tricks, and we all like that. Any type of side trick or little angle that helps us manage our time a little better. So can you give us a little insight into those?
Well, those 3 cool tricks are actually the 3 things that the people with the most outstanding success do. And those 3 things are, it's interesting, I already mentioned them, but we didn't call them cool tricks, but they are cool tricks. The most outstanding people, they clarify in writing what they really want. That's the first thing. Anybody can do that, but few people do. The second thing is they set aside 5 minutes or whatever time it takes. And then I say whatever time it takes. I think it takes 5 minutes. The great author of The 1 Minute Manager, Ken Blanchard, a very close friend, says it takes him 30 minutes. Well, I don't care how much time it takes, but I would suggest you set aside a specific time each day to plan your day. Now, some people do it the night before. Some people do it early in the morning. I particularly can't do it the night before. I do it early in the morning. So my 5 minutes, the first 30 seconds are to review what I really want. And next 4.5 minutes, I write the priorities for the day that I feel like I can accomplish that day. And I was doing this with a very insightful fellow up there in New Hampshire. He was a Secret Service agent, and he claims that everybody should have a daily planning period, even if you're on vacation. But in any case, you definitely should have it on the 5 work days, so that you write the priorities that you can tell them. And the third very wonderful thing is you make sure each action takes you back to what you really want. Now, Bill, that question, how can I possibly make sure that every action takes me back to what I really want? That brings up you can call it a super secret, you can call it a super dynamic thing, but here it is. It's all wrapped up in a 9-word question. And the 9-word question has 2 parts. The first part is the what, and the second part is the why. And it's a very simple thing. I call it the 9-second MIN secret. MIN stands for most important now. So here it is. If people are interested in writing something down, here's what they ought to write down. So the what is, what's my MIN? 4 words. What's my MIN stands for most important now. The second part is related to what I really want. Now you can see we've just bounced back to the first thing of clarifying what I really want. And if a person has written what they really want and reviewed it in the morning, when they ask the 5-second MIN secret, what's my MIN related to what I really want? In fact, it only takes 2.5 seconds to ask and 2.5 seconds to answer. But if a person can use that key all day long, they are really going to be accomplishing a lot.
Jim, I love that, and I'm just going to repeat it for our audience. You used the word men, and I thought you were going in a different direction, but men stands for most important now, with an I, right? Men?
Right. We pronounce it MIN. A quick funny story about that. I was doing a program for a group of ladies, about 20 ladies in this group, and they were a part of a group of about 50. And when they got going, one of the criteria I use, the people who got it, is they start joking about their men. So these ladies, the 20 group in the program, were joking about their men. And the other 30 outside were wondering why these gals are all interested in their man. Were they gone sex crazy or something? But it wasn't. They were all interested in, saying, hey, Bill, what's your min right now? Which means, hey, Bill, what's your most important thing right now? But they didn't get it. So kind of a funny story that relates.
It is, but it's a good way to remember it. And like you said, what's the most important now? If I have a 1 o'clock doctor's appointment, that may be the most important thing if it's 1 o'clock. If it's 5 o'clock in the evening, it really doesn't matter because I have almost a day till the doctor's appointment. Jim, are some people just better day people or night people? And is that when they get things done and can manage their time?
Absolutely. I'm early morning people. Every morning I get up at 4:15. The people say you're crazy. No, I'm not. If I stay in bed later, I start getting a headache. So I get up at 4:15. I'm very productive. And as my wife will tell you, many times the news at 6:30 or 7:30, I fall asleep. So some people are morning people. Some people are evening people. You got to know when you work best and do it.
Jim, do some people actually fear success as you've worked with them over the years? You probably see that some back off doing something or almost intentionally will get to a meeting late or fail to complete an assignment or a project. Do you think that behind that is a background, maybe psychological fear of success, something bigger, or does it go back to time management?
I think it's something bigger. And I think people's perception of themselves, I was doing a program for Bell Labs for some time ago, and they called me in and they said, Jim, we want you to define success. Well, they paid me a high fee, and it was a whole big group, and they said, we want you to define success. And really, success is what you want it to be. Now, if you want to be a great weightlifter, maybe that's success for you. Or if you want to be a great husband, maybe that's success for you. Or if you want to be a very rich man or woman, maybe that's success for you. But one of the things I think, one of the most important starts in getting the most from your time, one of the most important things with your program here, The Secrets of Success, is you need to define what success is for you. And once you get success is for you, you look over and say, if I say success is for me of making $4 million, I need to ask myself why. So a person needs to know what success is for them so they can figure out where to strategize using their time and their energy.
Jim, once again at this point in the show, would like to remind our audience that you're listening to The Secrets of Success on the voice of Nassau Community College, 90.3 WHPC. I'm your host, Bill Horan. Today we're talking to Jim Skeffen, author of Aligned Thinking. Jim, can you tell us about the book, where we get it, and the website?
Well, the book, Aligned Thinking, the international bestseller, you can get on Amazon. But my latest book that relates to a lot of success is The Secret of Growing True Love That Lasts, and you can get that on our website, is truelovesthatlast.us.
Easy enough to remember. We'll also ask you that if we get a chance before the end of the show again, so that you can tell our audience. And just to point out, Jim, I think, and I'm sure you'll agree with this, time management is probably one of the most inexpensive ways, once we've mastered it, to make money or save money, because we're actually using the 24 hours a day that we all have, and we're making it more productive. So if we're in sales, or if we're in any type of business where we want to see results at the end of the day, the more we use our time productively, the more we're going to get out of it, whether it's for education, medical, research, or, the good salesperson in the neighborhood who's out there trying to earn a living. So I think you're going to help us in many instances. Let me ask you, a lot of us, we're doing something and we're interrupted. And people tell me, I get interrupted so many times. And as people get more and more important, or if they have a class of 20 children, they'll be coming up to them, asking them questions. How can we work with interruptions and still keep our time managed?
Bill, as I told you twice before, this is the third time. That is a brilliant question. And
all right, I'm doing well today.
You're doing well. That's 3 for 3. That's brilliant. And let me tell you why it's so brilliant. A lot of people don't understand interruptions. So here is, let me tell you a story first. And it's going to seem like this story has nothing to do with interruptions, but it has everything to do with interruptions. Bill, are you a football fan?
I am.
Okay, do you know, if I say the bus, what comes to mind?
The Bucks?
The
Tampa
bus.
Bay?
B-U-S-S, the bus.
Oh, the Pittsburgh player. I can't.
That's right.
Jerome Bettis, right? Okay.
That's it. You got it. Okay.
I win. See that?
You got that. That's another. That's not as smart as a brilliant, but that's very valuable. So you're stepping up your score here. Great. Okay. Here's a story about Jerome Bettis. As an 8th grader, he was a soccer player. When he got to high school, his coach convinced him that he wanted to be a fullback. Now, what's the goal of a fullback? The goal of the fullback is take the ball and make touchdowns. So as a high school player, he was so good that Notre Dame offered him a scholarship. He was so good at Notre Dame that after 3 years, he went to the pros. And he spent a lot of time in San Diego, and then he came to Pittsburgh. So he was getting close to the end of his career. Before I tell you the rest of the story, let's consider what that fullback does. The fullback takes the ball, and what are the options? Well, one option is he makes a touchdown. A second option is he fumbles. A third option is he goes out of bounds. A fourth option, those 11 guys on the other side cream him.
I was just going to use that same word.
Wouldn't you say that's a significant interruption? Now,
it's a good way to get to interruption. Yes, it is. Why
does he put up with that kind of a physical whammy interruption? Because he wants to make a touchdown and he wants to be a fantastic fullback. Well, to finish the story, and then I'll come back to interruptions. So it's 1904, and he's getting close to the end of his career. But he finds out that the next Super Bowl will be played in the new dome in Detroit, his hometown of Detroit, the Ford Dome. So he says, maybe I can stick out another year and maybe our team will win. And they did. So he's into the finals playoff. His team is against the Seattle Seahawks. So 3 days before the game, he goes to his owner and he says, being in the Pittsburgh Steelers has been a wonderful run, but win, lose, or draw of this game, I have to retire because my poor body won't take it. So in the game, it just happens that the Pittsburgh Steelers beat the Seahawks 21-10, and Jerome wins and he is now a retired Hall of Fame Super Bowler. Okay, now let's consider interruptions, and let's consider the Freedom Secret. The Freedom Secret basically has 3 tenets, and this is going to have a lot to do with interruptions. The first part of the Freedom Secret is you select what you really want and then you accept the necessary conditions to get there. So looking at Jerome Bennis, he selected the thing he really wanted to be an outstanding fullback. He got all the way through the high school, all the way through college, all the way through the pros, and he's now a retired person in the Hall of Fame. So he reached his goal. A second part of the freedom secret is if the cost of getting there is too much, you change the goal. Did Jerome Bennis use that part? He sure did. Immediately after the game of the Super Bowl game, it became too much for his poor body to stand, and so he retired. The third part of the freedom secret, a part we don't recommend, is you can make yourself a victim. Now, many people these days make themselves a victim. They say, I can't because the coach says I can't. I can't because my wife says, or can't because my husband says, or can't because my kids say. In other words, they freely make themselves a victim. I don't say freely, knowingly, and willingly. They make themselves a victim freely, but they don't know it. So now let's look at interruptions. Let's take a salesperson. A salesperson is to sell items. So the salesperson gets a telephone call. Now, when they get that telephone call, they need to use the 5-second men's secret. They need to say, what's my most important now, Rita, what I really want? Do I continue writing this report that needs to be done in 3 hours, or do I answer the telephone? Let's say they continue writing the report and let the telephone go to the answering service. Maybe that's not such a good part as the salesperson, though they pick up the phone. Now, is that an interruption, or is that an opportunity to make money? So our tenet is that if you use the aligned thinking totally the way it's written, if you use it exactly as it's written, and you can get that in the book, then you can turn all interruptions into opportunities, and opportunities to go where you really want to go.
Jim, you've certainly taken us in the right direction, helped us go where we want to go. If we can use our time more effectively, but before we wrap up, I'd like to ask you to please tell our audience again, we've been listening to Jim Skeffen. He's the author of Aligned Thinking. Jim, tell us where that website is and about your new book quickly.
Well, Aligned Thinking, I'm delighted, was translated into 7 languages, international bestseller. You can get it on Amazon. But our latest book, which has a lot to do with the secret of success, is The Secret of Growing True Love That Lasts. And surprisingly enough, the website is truelovethatlast.us.
Jim, thanks so much for being with us today. Thanks for making us better time managers. And I hope you have a great day and enjoy those football games when you get to them. I'd like our audience to know that you've been listening to The Secrets of Success on the voice of Nassau Community College, 90.3 WHPC. I'm your host, Bill Horan, asking you to please join us again next week at the same time when we will continue our journey to success.